Welcome back. This is Dr. Harry Anderson. We're here today with Molly Powell. Molly is a perennial NFR final contestant in barrel racing, and we caught her today and wanted to visit with her a little bit about Total Equine and how it has fit into her program. And Molly, you had kind of an interesting introduction to Total Equine. Would you mind relating that story to us?
Yeah, well, I grew up in Montana and rodeoed up in the north when I was younger, and we always had access to really strong hay, and our horses were in pastures a lot. And then when we started hauling, and then I moved to Texas, we started noticing we had a lot harder time keeping our horses looking good, and started dealing with stomach ulcers. And we always wondered when a horse was losing weight if he had stomach ulcers or if we weren't feeding him enough. And so we got to where we were feeding and worrying about our horses all the time, and our horses really didn't look all that good. We were pretty lucky if we had one that looked great. And I was on my way to the Canadian Finals rodeo, and my horse was just really losing weight. He was gant, and he wasn't feeling well. He was very nervous and grouchy. And I was staying at a boarding facility that carried Total Equine feed, and so he suggested that I put my horse onto Total Equine, and I got a couple of bags, and I went from having Cat as a backup horse on our way to the Canadian Finals, and he filled up and calmed down and looked great. He got progressively better each time he ran. And from then on, he grew dapples, and he just blossomed into a really pretty horse. And now I don't care if I don't worry too much about feeding. It's not precise anymore. I give him some Total Equine and some hay, and our schedule and routines have become a lot more lax because it's so much easier with his program now with Total Equine.
Okay, well that sounds great. So Cat was a little on the nervous side, and you feel he had ulcers. So how long did it take from the day you started feeding the Total Equine till he settled down?
Well, it's hard to believe, but actually in just probably about 3 or 4 days, he made a turnaround. He was so gant from our haul. We had hauled him for about 2 or 3 days to get up to Canada from Texas, and he was just very gant, and you could see his ribs, and just probably 3 or 4 days, and my dad and I were looking at him, and he was just so much fuller, just real strong looking. And I would say from then on. And then funny thing is, we bought a few bags to haul back down to Texas, and then over Christmas we didn't really realize that we could buy it in our area, and so we put him back on another feed, and he lost his dapples within about 2 weeks. And so then the problems started coming back, and then I was like, oh, the feed. And so then I had to go get you to ship me some feed. And
well, maybe that was all right that you saw both sides of it, and how quickly they can revert once they go off the Total Equine. The change that you see, the positive side, can reverse itself as fast as you saw it the first time. But Cat looks good today. After you got on the Total Equine program, did you see any improvement in his focus?
He would get really nervous before he went in, and after I put him on the Total Equine, he seemed like he became, his performance stepped up, and his anxiety about competing seemed to decrease somewhat. And so I felt like he had more endurance. We were able to, instead, before it was so hard on him to compete, we had to take one run at a time, and then he had to rest up for a while. And as he got more on the Total Equine program, he seemed like he could take more runs, and his recovery time was faster. Like, it didn't seem like it took as much out of him when he competed. So.
Well, this also goes along with other things we get fed back, is that the recovery or healing time of horses is reduced dramatically when they're on Total Equine. So you would confirm that the recovery time after each stress is probably shorter.
Yeah, and they seem like they drink a lot of water when we feed them the Total Equine, and so I'm not exactly sure what that has to do, but I know they stay real well hydrated, and he just doesn't gant up and fall off, where I feel more confident to go ahead and run him because he looks so strong and stays bright.
Well, a horse that's modestly dehydrated is a nervous, uptight horse. We cause the vasodilation with this feeding program, and so we do hydrate those muscles, so that all makes sense of what you've been seeing.
Okay, and that would help for the muscle soreness and stuff too as well, probably.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, it sure does. Yeah. Well, Molly, thanks a lot. I appreciate you being a confident Total Equine user, and good luck on the trails, and we'll cross paths somewhere else.
Well, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
I'm Dr. Harry Anderson. For more information on how to make a difference in your horse's performance and well-being, visit buildingbetterhorses.com.